Hey everybody. So, we're going to be reviewing. Hey, where you going? The cameraman hate me. We are going to be reviewing Buddy DIY's videos. I love his channel. He has some really good content on buying and selling cars. Excuse the camera. It's attracted to my face. So it keeps following me and it's very entertaining and distracting. So we're going to be reviewing his channel. He usually sells a lot of cars that's more expensive than stuff that I normally get. Um, but this one's $500. I've seen all his videos. It's been a while since I've seen them, but this video, don't remember how it went. I know that the thumbnail says $500 and he turned it to 2,500, I think. So I was like, good video. I usually buy cars for like $500. I usually call it. It's usually harder to find cars for $500. That's really a $500 meal deal. That's what I call them. Kind of like that $5 meal deal at McDonald's. I'm fat, but besides all that. But $500 is a pretty good price to start. We're gonna see how he looks for his cars, how he gets all of them. Even though I remember how he gets his cars, but I'm gonna share something how I get my cars 9 times out of 10, because how you get the good deals. Okay, let's start it.
What is going on, everybody? It's Buddy here.
I forgot to say, also like, comment, and subscribe to Buddy DIY's channel. He's a good man. Never met him, never talked to him. Hopefully he sees this. We could share tips or something. Maybe we could do a collab or something decent. Who knows? But yeah, I'm gonna start this video and see if I can give
Today,
any
I'm going
good
to show you
insight.
guys how I took this poorly running, no AC having $500 truck and turned it into thousands of dollars in profit.
Thousands
Now,
of
if you
dollars
watched
in
my channel
profit.
before, I'm mostly a DIY channel, but I am going to start a segment on flipping cars, the process I do it. I've done it many times in the past. This is actually the first vehicle I fully documented here on video. So if you want to learn how to get
Huh?
potentially
That's funny.
profitable
It's this
vehicles
first
at low
video.
prices, how to fix them up and flip them and make a bunch of money on the back end, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. I'm going to show you guys the entire process of how I bought it, what I thought I should buy it for, what I knew I could sell it for, and ultimately how much money I put into it and how much money I made. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So my favorite place to look for cars to flip is Facebook Marketplace. I'm always on it, checking for deals, seeing what's out there. So I stumbled upon this little...
So Marketplace is a good place to look for cars. It's it's very competitive, honestly. You have to have money sitting ready to go to buy on Marketplace, because like I've gotten some really good deals on Marketplace, but really you have to really you have to be ready to go right then and there. You tell a dude like, hey, I'm coming right now to come buy this car. Don't ask a lot of questions. Like I catch the people. It's like it will say just listed on the corner of the listing, like just listed like 20 minutes ago, and I'll be like, "What's the address? I'll come right now. Where are you at?" And I'll drive hours out to go see people. But you don't want to ask people questions. They'll get bombarded by a bunch of people that's bluffing. And some people are serious, but most of them are bluffing. 99.9% of them. But Gregory never bluffs. I come with cash to come give you a low ball offer in person. Never give numbers over text either. That's never a good idea. I never say that. I just ask, are you negotiable on price? Or not say, are you firm on price? 9 times out of 10, no. I'm like, okay, you have it listed for $1,500. That means you'll take $750 or $900. 9 times out of 10 for hoopties. I sell hoopties. I'm a hoopty salesman. So let's see how he does it.
little Chevy Blazer. These are actual pictures of it here. The exterior looked good. There was no faded paint for an older truck. The interior looked good. There was no cracks. There was no rips. There was no tears in the seats or anything like that. Now I noticed the price was set at about $1,400. The truck had 140.
$1,400. I'd have told him I give. Well, usually, so here's how I usually do it when I see cars. I look at them off of the pictures. I look at them and I say, how much would somebody else pay for this? 9 times out of 10, most people care more about how a car looks over the functionality. People do not care if that thing runs and drives terrible or not. Most people care about the looks more than the how it drives and everything. Um, that's a fact. So looking at this car, it looks very clean. The interior looked very clean. This outside looks very, very clean to me. I bought buckets, so this is very, very clean. This might as well be a Bentley to me. So for me, I'd look at this and I'd be like, okay, I could probably get like 2 grand, 2,500 for it. Um, I look more into what he's talking about as far as the mechanical issues, but as far as the looks, it's about $2,500 car all day because it looks really nice. I could tell y'all my tiers on how I judge things, but usually $1,500 rock bottom bucket, looks bad, drives bad, but it's a car better than the bus, and then you have like the next level up where it's like looks good, drives bad, you know, kinda this and that. 2,500, and then 3,500. I don't like buying cars over $3,500 on on a selling side because most people are poor and don't have any money. Um, I like to help people out. That's why I like to sell these cheaper cars because these are no payment. Get in it and have a good time.
40,000 miles on it, which is pretty low for a truck of this year. And I know these Chevy Blazers
140.
will sell quick. They're a popular truck. At the right price, they're going to fly off the shelf. So upon reading the description of the vehicle, it says AC does not work. Don't know what's wrong with it. It stated there is minor rust on the undercarriage. It also says the truck does not run smooth at idle. Vehicle will shut off at red lights, but starts right back up. Runs great otherwise. Now, the one thing I really did like in the description, it said bought from original owner 3 months ago. All service records were kept from mile 3,000 in the service manual. Now,
Okay. Well, looking at that, AC doesn't work. I'm in Baltimore. Most of the time when I buy cars, the AC, it doesn't have AC. Well, the windows are rolled down. At least one of them. 9 times out of 10, it'd be the driver's window that rolls down, and all the other ones don't if the AC doesn't work. Minor rust, I don't care about that. The truck does not run smooth at idle. Probably needs a tune up, but that's every car I get usually. Some of them usually need some type of maintenance like that. Shutting off at a red light is a little concerning. I like to sell reliable cars. It doesn't have to be like pretty or drive good, but as long as you know it will get you to where you need to go and not leave you stranded, that's usually what I like to sell. So it's turning off at a red light is weird. I would assume that might be a gas problem, but like maybe a fuel pump because he said it's not running smooth. So maybe I guess I'm not a mechanic. I'm a terrible mechanic. I just kind of learned this stuff from losing money. The service record is cool, but most people buying a car for $1,500 do not care. So I mean, it might help for some buyers, but at $1,500, because from all of this stuff that he's saying, I'd sell this for $1,500 because yeah, $1,500. And by the way, I don't fix anything. I fix nothing. I don't fix nothing. But I'm honest. When I go to sell a car, I'll tell them the AC don't work, has rust. Sometimes it turns off at the red lights. It could use regular scheduled maintenance like oil change and tune up spark plugs and wires. Here's all the service records. It was taken good care of. $1,500. That's you're educated. I gave you everything I know about it. I drove it. Usually I like to drive my cars at least for an hour before I sell them. And if it could last me for an hour, it probably lasts you for at least a few months, if I had to guess. So, but at $1,500, you really can't beat it. I just like to be honest. So, I don't fix anything because if I fix my cars, you shouldn't buy them from me. I'll be honest with you.
considering the original owner bought this truck 20 years ago, has the original owner's manual and
$27,000
service in there.
depreciation.
I knew he was an older gentleman. I knew he was an old school guy who was probably very meticulous with this truck. Now what you guys are looking at here is the actual service manual of the truck. This guy really did document every single little thing from the first service at 3,000 miles. Now I speak from experience when I say that is not a big selling point, that is a huge selling point. People absolutely love that. This is already a really popular vehicle. I know for a fact this thing fixed up will sell quick. So I knew I had to get this truck. So I went on Kelly.
You know, that is probably true. I can see it being a huge selling point. It just really depends on the customer because, like in Baltimore, you're mostly dealing with a lot of my customers are first time car buyers, people whose car has been wrecked and they need something just to get around, and some people, and then other people that have terrible credit and they just need something to get around. So most of those guys are desperate and just want something. The first time car buyers are probably the ones that would be interested in all the service records. But most of the time, the first time car buyers, it's like a season when I get a lot of those people. So I'm not greedy. I would just sell it at $1,500. I'm curious to see how much he got for it. And Kelly Blue Book. I don't like Kelly Blue Book. I don't really care for it. It doesn't matter. Like to me, at least at the cars at these price ranges, I don't think it matters that much because like It says $2,200. You could probably get $2,200 for it, but not how it's sitting. And it looks like I was just about right at the $1,500 of where I would sell it, because it's bare. It's a hoopty. It's a bucket, and I don't fix anything. So I guess my $1,500 is perfect. I've been doing this for a while, but $2,200 is not worth fixing cheap cars, in my opinion. You be out your shirt. Like, you just spend a lot of money on them. It's just not worth it. You just sell it as it is. Somebody would be very happy to have that car because it's literally better than the bus. It runs and drives reliably, but we'll see.
Kelley Blue Book, and honestly, I don't use Kelley Blue Book to buy vehicles, but 90% of people do. If you're looking to sell it, this is what most people are going to default to. So you want to make sure that you know that this is kind of what everyone's looking at when they're looking to buy a car. Now, the number I'm looking at right here is at $3,119. That is the upper end of the Kelley Blue Book value. If this thing is running smooth, the AC works great, and someone sees that the whole life of the car has been documented in the back of the owner's manual where the service records are, I know I'm going to be able to get that upper end for sure. So I immediately set out to go.
Yeah, $3,000. Oof. I know that a lot of car sales is kind of like real estate, where the car is matters a lot in my experience. Like, if I take a car, like a Jeep from Baltimore over to Colorado, it will sell for a lot more in Colorado because they like those more over there. Same with Subarus and stuff like that. So he's in Florida. I didn't know there was mountains in Florida. Maybe it's a stock photo. But Florida, I don't know much about their car market, but I'd be sitting on that thing a long time if I had it listed for $3,000. I'm not gonna lie, especially because I don't fix anything. So I probably wouldn't be able to sell it at three. I probably wouldn't even get two for it. Well, I could possibly get two, but I don't like sitting on cars. I sell everything within 7 days. No point in sitting on them. Sell them, get rid of them, get something else.
Here in person, I did know that $1,400 was going to be a little steep for this truck, just because I knew it definitely needed some things.
$1,400, crazy. I offer them $700.
So I knew I didn't have to put that much money into it, even if there was a couple more things wrong that wasn't specified on the description. And that's also a very important note to keep in mind when you are looking for a vehicle to flip. You want to make sure you don't shoot for those BMWs, those Audis. Of course, if you find a killer deal, don't let it up. But at the same time, keep in mind the parts for those cars are a lot more expensive than something like this Blazer. Now, with this truck, knowing that the AC was bad and it was running real rough, I didn't know what I was going to get into fixing it. Maybe it just needed some Freon to make the air cold again, and something silly like an O2 sensor making it run really rough on the idle. Or it could need multiple components here on an AC system, or it could have all kinds of different things wrong with it, causing vacuum leaks, bad sensors, or whatever the case. So $500 is definitely where I wanted to be to make sure I made a profit. Now, upon arriving, honestly...
So it's fine. He's already at $500. $500 meal deal. Can't beat it. But, in my mind, I like to make sure that everybody's happy when I do deals. And maybe that's going to hinder me in business in the long run. But we'll see. So, like, 500 from 1,400, it depends on how that customer is when I get there, whether I'm going to offer him a super low ball or not. Sometimes I like to be at 750 because I feel like the junkyard is going to give you $400 or $500. So if I'm $250 over the junkyard, I use the app called Pedal. They're not sponsored, unfortunately, but I use Pedal. And usually before I go see a car, I'll see a Pedal offers more than the junkyard in case I drive that car home and it breaks down on me. I can see how much they offer. So usually I try and be like $250 on top of that, depending on the condition of the car. Because like I could tell them, hey, you obviously don't want this car. It's a bucket. So I can offer you more than a junkyard. I'll give you $750. So $500 is really, really low. But I've been able to get some $500 meal deals. It's just not as common. If you and here's another rule of thumb: if you don't feel guilty making a lowball, if you don't feel guilty making your offer, you shouldn't. That is too high. You want to feel guilty when you say your offer. So, like, if you feel like 600 is too low, you should probably say it. You don't want to be too low though. It's a fine art, but that's how you have to be a people person and be able to tell what type of person in front of. If it's an old man, don't even try it. Don't even try it, because a lot of those guys, they $600. I don't even want to do business with you. Get out of here. Get out of here. And I'm like, all right, I'll do $700. I don't even want your money. I'm like, dang, man, he don't understand how business works. But that's how some people are.
I was very impressed with the vehicle's condition on the inside and outside. There's no cracks, no rips, there's no dents, there's no scratches, there's no rust on the body.
It's a
Everything
clean
looks
truck.
Really good. I'm gonna play you guys a quick video of what the engine sounded like at idle. It was a very rough idle. This is actually after I took it home. So this is actually the engine of the exact same truck we're talking about. Yeah, it sounded pretty rough to say the least. So the very first thing I did when I got to the seller's house was hook up my OBD2 reader to the truck. I always bring one of these with me anytime I go to buy a car. It's definitely something important that everybody should have in their toolbox. I'm going to put a link in the description for 3 of them.
I have that one. They're really cheap. I have a nicer one too. You know, I don't often use mine, to be honest with you. Call me stupid, but um, a lot of cars I get are cars that I know, and that doesn't mean anything. Don't be like me. Use the OBD reader. But a lot of cars, it's like, this one's okay. And I kind of roll with it. 9 times out of 10, I'm right. Like, I say 9 times out of 10 a lot this video, but 9 times out of 10, I'm right. Like, I get in the car, I'll drive it around the block, and I'm like, this is a missile. This is a good car. I already know it. I could tell. I don't need to plug up and see the engine code. I don't care. But then it's like newer cars with all the computers. You can get into a newer car, and I guess it's called the keynote cycle thing, where it drives perfectly fine, and then after you turn it off and then turn it back on like 5 times, the transmission starts slipping. So with newer cars, I always use these things. But older cars, I probably should use them, but I don't. And I usually don't get burnt. It's only when I reach out of my comfort zone to get into other cars I'm not familiar with, is when I start getting deep fried.
I recommend. One's going to be at a lower price point, maybe 25 to 30 bucks. One's going to be kind of a mid-grade, around 60 to 70. And then one's going to be a little bit higher tier, around 100 to 150. So when I hooked up my OBD reader to the truck, I got a code back, P0171, System 2 Lean Bank 1. So what that means is either the engine's getting too little fuel or is getting too much air. Too much air is caused from a vacuum leak, or not enough fuel's getting into your engine. Either your fuel filter's clogged, you got a clog in one of your lines, maybe one of your fuel injectors are clogged up, or your fuel pump's starting to go out. Or if you get real lucky, it's something as simple as just a mass airflow sensor needs to be cleaned, or you got a bad O2 sensor. Now another thing I wanted to check before I made a seller an offer on the vehicle was the AC compressor. Now I knew the AC was blowing warm air, but I wanted to see if that was because the AC compressor wasn't working or if it just had a Freon leak. Now what I did is I brought a staple with me. Now I always bring a staple with me to any kind of car deal that I want to do that a vehicle has no AC in. With a staple, all you got to do is find the low side of the AC system, find the little sensor, and then just stick the staple inside of the sensor that goes into the low side. So now you can see the compressor is spinning, so our little staple trick worked. Now I also checked the radiator cap. I didn't see any brown gunk like this. And I also...
Oh, watch out for the mud. Watch out for the milkshakes. Yeah. I remember I bought a Hyundai, a 2002 Hyundai Accent, and it had milkshake in there, just like that. Literally, just like that. And I was like, I opened it. I was like, that don't look normal. But it's $500. I'll buy it anyway. And then I took that thing home, and yeah, it was a head gasket. But I like I said, I just roll a dice with a lot of stuff. I learn all the stuff I've learned is because I lost money. I ain't had nobody really. I had some people teaching me stuff, but for the most part, because what I'm telling you is because I lost probably a few $1,000s for everything. Like the milkshake, don't buy that. That's no bueno. But there's a difference. I buy dirty coolant cars all the time, and it look like mud in there, like dirt, like very, very dirty. I wish I had a picture that pop up on the screen, but I don't. But like, I'll get super dirty coolant all the time, but it's not that. That is something completely different. I've looked into engine bays and seen milkshake all in there. Chick-fil-A, terrible. Don't buy those. No bueno. That's not better than the bus.
checked the oil cap and took a peek in the crankcase. I didn't see any kind of sludge like this, and that would be indicative of a blown head gasket, and that's not something I want to deal with in this vehicle. So now at least I know the compressor works. There's a Freon leak, of course, and
you see, he's making a list of everything that's wrong with it. I would do the same thing, but mentally. I'd make a list of everything that's wrong with it, list it up for $1,500, have the buyer come see it, and tell them that list. And then I tell them $1,500. They'll tell me $1,200, and I'll be like, sure, why not? I paid $600 for the car. I doubled my money. Congratulations, you're no longer on the bus, sir.
There's also a vacuum leak or a fuel issue. So now at this point, it's time to make the seller my $500 offer. I'm happy with the vehicle. I think I can make a little money on it. So this is the fun part. This is when you get to finally make an offer. You get to do a little negotiating. This is the exciting part for me.
Negotiations is
So you can
fun.
write this part down. I pretty much say this word for word every vehicle I buy. So let's just say the seller's name was Bob in this case. I'll say, hey Bob, so obviously the vehicle
He had the grimy hand rubbing that. So Bob, let me holler at you real quick. Yeah. So that's wrong with it. This wrong with it. I think $500 is fair. You know, I'm gonna listen to how he does it, but because when I do that low ball, I have a different technique than him.
does need some work. I'm gonna have to put a little money into it. It's actually a little worse than I thought. So I'll be right up front with you. I don't want to waste either of our time, so I'll give you a straight offer. I think the vehicle is worth $500 considering the multiple issues it has, and that's what I'm willing to pay for it.
Let me tell you why I formed my LLCs with Zen Business. It costs $0 plus state fees. All I have to do.
So probably about 30% of the time, they're just going to say, fine, take it away. I've been looking at it too long. Because you got to remember, these vehicles don't run right. So they've probably been sitting around for a while, probably gave them a headache. They probably tried changing some fuses. They probably looked at a couple of YouTube videos to see if there's a quick fix. They already called their uncle in another state who used to work on cars. Point being, they're sick of looking at these cars and they want them gone. So they're gonna take that $500, $600, $700. They're gonna take that $1,000. They're gonna take that low ball offer.
He is not lying, but they do not take it if you message him. You have to go there with cash. If you message him, like it's all the time. I know, like if you type $800, I'll give you $800 right now, and he has it for 14. He's gonna be like no or ignore you. But I've multiple all day. I'll go there with $600 in cash, and they're like, why not? I've been dealing with people BSing me all day, and they take it. But if you message them and ask them, would you take 60? They be like, hell no.
Now, if they start saying, oh, well, what about 1,000? What about 1,500? The last thing I'm going to say is this, and I almost say this word for word. Now, I understand what you're saying, Bob, and I know it's not what you want
Bob.
to hear, but to be honest, anyone who's going to buy this car is obviously going to be mechanically inclined, and it's ultimately going to take a risk in buying this car. We don't 1,000% know what's all wrong with it. All we know that it needs work, and obviously new parts, which cost money, of course. The last thing I want to do is rip you off, but even more so, I wouldn't want to buy a car and dump so much money into it that I end up spending more than what it's worth. My offer stands firm at $500. I have the money in the car right now. You'll never have to look at this thing again. All you got to do is say yes. Now, at that point, once you made sure that they know that you are firm at your offer, and on top of that, you're not trying to rip them off, you just let them know where you're coming from in terms of the price, you should be able to strike a deal. And for whatever reason, if they're one of the sellers that will not budge on the car, for whatever reason, you got to learn to just walk away. There's way too many people out there that are willing to give you their business, get rid of that old car sitting in their driveway, and be done with it. Now, in this case, I was able to convince the guy $500 is a good number for this car. So I took the keys and I drove the car.
$500 is a great price because you could sell it for $1,500. It triple your money. But no, he's right. Yeah, that's a good price to get that car for. And always never be scared to walk away. I walk away from cars all the time. But you also have to know I don't fix anything. So my concern is it going to drive the hour or 2 hours back to my house so I can list it up for sale? And will it turn back on when I go to turn it back on to go to sell it? That's my question about the cars. It's not whether how much it's gonna cost to fix this and that and that and that because I don't care. I just like to, like I said, I transfer the information to the next person, and they can do it. I don't fix anything because that's how you end up upside down and stuff. Every time I try and fix them, it always end up bad. But yeah, $500 isn't bad. Usually, what I tell people, my strategy for getting a good price on a car is making the buyer, the seller, like you. So I'll sit there and I'll chat with them about anything but the car and just talk to them about whatever. I like people, so it's easy for me. And plus, I am genuinely curious about how people live their lives. It's pretty interesting. Some people do some crazy stuff. But I'll sit there and I'll talk to a person for like 30, 40 minutes about nothing related. And it's literally like I'll just do that. And by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I should get back to business. Would you take 650 for it? I'm like, yeah, for you, I'll do that. I hear that all the time. So make them. I kind of make them my friends. A lot of times, I continue talking to people because I buy other stuff from them. So that's usually how I get good deals. And sometimes if I have to, if it's that type of customer, I'll sit there and I'll act like I'm gonna fix all that. Yeah, the AC doesn't work. Oh, the tires are bald. Yeah, that's why I have to be at this price. But most of the time, I do what I just said I do.
Home. So now that we got the truck back at the house, it's time to start fixing it up. So remember, we have a rough idle caused by either too little fuel or too much air. And on top of that, we have an AC leak. So what I'm going to do is see if I can get the truck running smooth again before I even start messing with the AC. So remember, these are all the potential things that could be giving it a rough idle. The first thing I was going to start with is the fuel filter. I checked out under the car, the fuel filter looked a little old. Even if the fuel filter wasn't the culprit of the rough idle, I decided to do it anyways just because I had one laying around and it looks like it was about time for a new one anyways. So I got under the truck, I found the fuel filter, I pulled out the old one, and I replaced it with the new one. Now all these videos I'm going to show you are actual videos of me working on this exact Chevy.
See, when I first started selling cars, I've done this working on car stuff, and it is so irritating because you'll go try and do this type of stuff, right? And it's easier to lower the price than it is to increase the price. So if you have like this truck, if you sell it for 3 grand, it's going to take longer to sell it because there's guaranteed worse of these for sale that more people are willing to buy because they just need something. They don't really care if it's nice because if they want it nice, they have 10 grand or they go finance. So you go fix these things and it becomes harder to sell because they have to increase the price. And then that's not even the part why I don't do it. The part why I don't do it, you see that nut at the top of the fuel filter? It looks clean. This truck doesn't look rusty. I've had so many cars, you go take that nut off and it snaps in half, and now you can't hold the fuel filter up there no more, and now it's just dangling. And now you have to figure out how to jerry rig it. Or you go to pull the fuel line off of the fuel filter and that whole plastic piece snaps in half. Now you have to find a whole new fuel line because they don't make just one fuel line part for that. And now you just up shit's creek trying to find parts for a car, and now you got to spend $200-300 for a hoopty. And it's like, I should have just sold it as is. It's fine, but I don't like working on cars, man. I just don't do it.
Chevy Blazer. So if you want to check out this video on how to change your fuel filter in a Chevy, and honestly it's similar for most vehicles, not just Chevys. Once you watch the video, get a main idea of how to do it. I'll go ahead and throw a link in the description for all the videos I made working on this vehicle. So now we got the fuel filter changed out, it's time to start the truck up and see if we fix the rough idle.
Want to break into cybersecurity but don't have experience? The Google Cybersecurity Certificate uses real-world.
So it looks
Nothing more irritating than that. You go try to fix something, thinking it's good, and then, nope, still broken. And you try something else, oh, still broken. You try 5 other things, still broken. And now you're $550 into a car you paid $550 for, and now you like, man, I wish I could get $1,500 for this thing. You should have sold it for $1,500 off the gate. That's what I do.
like the fuel filter wasn't the cause of a rough idle, so we're going to go ahead and cross that off our list. So now it's time to start keeping track of how much money we got invested in this vehicle. We have $500 into the truck itself, and then about $15 for a fuel filter at AutoZone. And as I said earlier, I already had the fuel filter on hand, but I'm just going to add it to the list anyways. And if you're finding the video helpful, please hit that thumbs up button. I would really
I already
appreciate
liked it.
and also lets me know you guys like these car flipping tutorial videos. The next thing I'm going to try is the mass airflow sensor. Maybe it's just a little dirty.
Well, for the sake of time, and if y'all want me to review the whole thing, I'm going to skip ahead to the selling part. Look at this new evaporator. How much? I got to see how much he got money invested. He's spending so much on a hoopty. It's $500, man.
invested. We got $500 for the truck, $15 for the fuel filter, $110 for the brake booster. Believe it or not, on PartsGeek.com, the evaporator was only $65 and the condenser was only $35. And this is including shipping and everything. Now that the AC system was all fixed up, I took a drive down to Advanced Auto Parts and picked up some Freon and some compressor oil. Now I do have a video on how to properly put Freon in your car or truck. With the new AC parts, I recharged the truck's AC system to factory specs. I fired it up and I checked the temperature on the AC vents. And it was blowing ice cold. There was no leaks in the system. The AC was completely fixed. So now we're going to go back to our money invested chart and we're going to add Freon and compressor oil. Came out to a whopping $37. Now I also grabbed 5 quarts of oil and an oil filter, and that came out to $24. And then I got 2 spray cans, one a rust inhibitor primer and the other one a trim and bumper paint. And those came out to $11. I changed the oil and the oil filter on the Blazer. I then sanded some parts down on the undercarriage and sprayed them with the rust inhibitor primer. Now you want to make sure if you do this, you don't spray with any cheap paint. You spray it with something that says stop rust on it, because then it has rust inhibitor chemicals in it. And then the last 2 things I did is restore the bumper and the door handles, but this really changed the look of the...
Hey, see, that's why I like watching his videos, because he does so many things that I just wouldn't do, and that's not a bad thing. It's just I just wouldn't make any money if I did it this way. But that goes with what I was saying. Like, the location you're in will determine. Like in Florida, they might not be going for a bucket selling that how it was initially. Like, they probably wouldn't go for that. But some places there's a lot of people that just need something to get around, and people will buy that. I just like to make sure the engine and transmission are good. It'll get you to where you need to go. Good enough, better than the bus. But I love watching these because I like watching like the whole how he fixed like records fixing it. It's very cool. Like watching him transform a car. I'm a terrible mechanic, so I don't fix any of this stuff. I have to pay people to do it, and that's probably why my price. I'd have been. He said AC condenser, I think it was. I'd have probably had to pay like $1,500 just to fix all the stuff he fixed on this thing. But he does it all himself, which is really cool that he can. But better than me.
truck. It really dolled it up and made it look more presentable. So I will have links in the description on how to restore your bumper or your handles, any black trim on your car for that matter. So now we are done. Going back to our money invested chart, we're going to add everything up. The truck for $500, the fuel filter for $15, the brake booster for $110, the evaporator, the condenser, the Freon. Everything together came out to a whopping $797. So we got a...
That's crazy that he can get that stuff, all that done for that little bit of price. But that's because he can work on it himself, I believe. Just like you can find parts really easy. I get parts really, really cheap for my cars. Sometimes I'll buy the parts for the cars and just put them in the car for the next person to do it when I sell them the car. But $797, that's about $300 for all that stuff he did, which is a lot of stuff he did. That's pretty great for that price. I take my cars to shops when I get them done, so I'm not paying $300 for all that. It's probably like 15 to $2,000. So I had to, just not in my style to do that.
A truck worth about $3,100, and we only paid $797, less than $800 for it. We are on top of it on this one. Now the only thing left was to post some ads and find a buyer for this truck. Now you can see from this ad I made, I really hyped the truck up. You never want to put a short description of your vehicle. You want to make a nice long descriptive description about your vehicle, explaining all the good things about it. Everything works, runs perfect, nothing wrong with the truck at all, truly diamond in the rough, purchased from an elderly man who followed the owner.
That is a very good description. Usually I don't post a lot on the descriptions because most people don't read them anyway. I just put runs and drives good. I just hit key points like AC works, runs and drives good. I put, if the miles are low, I'll put the miles. I like to deliver my cars just to show people that the engine and transmission are solid. Like I've delivered cars all the way up to Niagara Falls, Ocean City, Maryland. I've delivered cars all over the place, like needing a tune-up and everything. I will drive the car to you because I know the engine and transmission are good. That's my whole thing. It's like you're gonna get a reliable car. It might not be a nice car, but it will be reliable. But like I keep my descriptions short and sweet. Not most people that come to buy the cars are the people that will text you and say, "Hey, when can I come see it?" Or, "Hello, is this still available?" "Yes." "When can I come and see it?" "Today. I'm free 24/7." "Okay, can I come at 6?" "Yes, you can." And those are the people that usually buy. The people that usually ask you a bunch of questions about the car don't have any money or not ready to buy. They're just, wasting time. So I keep the description short. Most people that really care to know about the car are going to come see the car.
owner's manual service guide to a T. Every oil change, coolant flush, brake flush, power steering flush, and everything in between has been meticulously done by this elderly gentleman, documented and recorded since the first 3,000 miles, new AC condenser and evaporator, and 140,000 pampered miles. So this step might seem a little silly and unnecessary, but trust me, it's definitely appropriate. You're going to get a whole lot more people messaging you about the vehicle, and on top of that, you're going to justify why you're asking for the upper end of the Kelley Blue Book value. After sitting on Craigslist and Facebook for about 8 days, I finally got someone who seemed fairly interested, so we scheduled a time for him to come see the truck. And then you can see here from the screenshot on my cell phone, that is all she wrote. He came and saw the truck, he loved it, he put a $500 deposit on it, wired me $2,000 the next day, and then brought another $500 cash with him when he came to pick it up. I could tell instantly he liked the truck, he was gonna buy it no matter what price, so I held firm at my $3,000, and he shook my hand on the deal. So remember,
Okay, he got $3,000. He got $3,000. Let's pull up the calculator. So he was into it, let's say $900, and he sold it for 3,000. So 3,000 divided by 900. So 3x this money, I think. So pretty good, pretty good. Can't beat that. Can't complain. Not at all. That's pretty nice. That's a really good
all the
sale.
money we had invested in this truck came out to a whopping $797. We'll round that up to $800. $3,000 as a sale price minus $800 comes out to a profit of $2,200. Now that's just one example of a car I flipped. I have a lot more cars coming up for you guys, so be sure to
That's pretty
subscribe.
nice.
Check on my
Yeah, selling the cars is really fun. I really like selling cars. I usually like I'm a volume kind of guy. I usually don't see profit like that, where it's like $2,200 every car. I usually will buy a car for like $700, and I'll probably sell it for $1,500. So I'll double my money a lot of times, but I don't usually see that much of a profit. Nor would I be able. Well, some cars I do for sure. Or it's not rare that I get profit like that. It's just not common. As common as like doubling, tripling is not as common, but doubling, yes. So that's pretty cool. Whenever I sell my cars, I just like to get them in and get them out. I don't know. Maybe I skipped it. I usually don't skip his videos, but just for the sake of the videos time, I did this time. But for the most part, I like to make sure that the money is quick. I didn't see how long he had that car before he sold it. If I don't sell a car within 7 days, I slash prices very, very hard. Actually, not even 7 days, every day. If I look at a car, if I list it up in the morning, by the later that night, if it hasn't sold, and if I have it for $19.99, I'll cut it down to $1,700. And then if it hasn't sold by the next day, end of day, $1,500. And then like literally with like it will be sold, but usually it's because like I'm into a $700. Somebody's gonna come get it for 12. Somebody's gonna come get it for 13. But I like to have cars come in and leave as soon as possible. There's no point in me keeping them. I have a lot of cars. I like to get rid of them. So you have to be as low as you can buying it. Well, making money selling cars is all determined on how much you pay for the car. That is the main thing. If you buy the car for $500 and it runs and drives, you can only make money as long as it keeps running and driving, because that's a problem. But as long as it keeps running and driving, you can only make money. Somebody will come give you $1,000 for a running and driving car, guaranteed. That's just all day. So, but you don't want to be a terrible person. If the heck get like I've sold cars where the transmission was slipping or the engine was knocking, but I would just tell people, I'd be like, hey, I drove this car an hour and a half. It didn't leave me stranded. The engine is knocking. I think it still has good life left into it, but I'm not going to charge you a bunch of money for it. You give me the $100, you can have it. It probably lasts you a long time. And when I sell cars like that, those would be the cars that like I'll run into those all the time. Like, hey man, I'm still driving this thing. I'm like, congratulations, you got yourself a good deal. Don't fix that engine. You better drive it until it blow up. All right, same with cars like I had a Chevy Malibu 380,000 miles on it. That transmission was slipping 50,000 miles. Some cars just go like that. I just tell people, hey, it's slipping. But it's been slipping its way to 50 more thousand miles, and it probably slip its way to another 50 with you. So $1,200, we can call it a day. But yeah, I think this was I like Buddy's videos. Y'all should definitely go check out his channel, give him a like, comment, subscribe, and do the same for me. Thank you for watching my video. You know, you feel me? If y'all like this one, I can react to another one.